Hello students, in my previous video I will describe about chemical reaction, how to write balanced chemical reaction, what are different types of reaction, rate of chemical reaction and the factors on which rate of chemical reaction depends. We also discuss about various types of chemical reaction. Chemical reaction takes place by combination of reactant molecule, decomposition, neutralization or displacement. And on the basis of that, chemical reactions are classified into mainly four types. These are addition reaction, decomposition reaction, displacement reaction and acid-base reaction. And on the basis of heat, chemical reactions are classified into two types. These are exothermic and endothermic. And on the basis of direction of change, chemical reactions are classified into two types. These are reversible and irreversible chemical reaction. Today in this video we mainly discuss about exothermic and endothermic nature of chemical reaction, reversibility of chemical reaction. At first we define exothermic and endothermic reaction. Some of the chemical reaction produce heat energy, gives heat energy during the chemical change. Such type of chemical reaction are called exothermic reaction. And some chemical reaction that needs heat energy to begins, and without heat energy we can't initiate or complete that type of chemical reaction, then it is known as endothermic chemical reaction. And here we detail explain about exothermic and endothermic chemical reaction. Chemical reaction, and on the basis of heat, chemical reaction is classified into exothermic and endothermic chemical reaction. At first we define about which kind of chemical reaction are exothermic. Exothermic chemical reaction or simply exothermic reaction also. And here we define it as the chemical reaction which gives heat or produce heat are called exothermic reaction. And those type of chemical reaction which release heat during chemical reaction are exothermic reaction. And in such reaction no need of any energy to begins. And here we write it does not need any energy to initiate or to begins chemical reaction, and itself it begins, and therefore we write these are spontaneous change. Spontaneous means what? Automatically it begins, then it is called spontaneous change. And other is here rate of these chemical reactions are high. Generally here, rate of these chemical reactions are high. Why? Because in certain less time products are formed, and in our surrounding we found that several example are example of exothermic reaction. As for example, adding water in a lime, or quick lime also we can write. And molecular formula of quick lime is calcium oxide. When we pour or add water in lime, then the reaction formed lime water or slacked lime is formed there, and it gives heat energy. That is, in product side here, or same as a product, heat energy is produced, and therefore it is exothermic reaction. Other here, when acid reacts to base, like when we add or mix solution of sodium hydroxide and HCl, or in solution also we can write, it forms sodium chloride, water, and the container becomes hot. It means what? Heat also produced there. Therefore it is exothermic reaction. And here we can describe these all example in which container becomes hot after reaction, or which radiate or release heat energy during or reaction. So these all are example of exothermic reaction. As for another example, we can write respiration. In our body, respiration takes place. That is, lungs absorb oxygen, and at cellular level, that oxygen help in breakdown of food material called internal respiration. And in internal respiration, glucose molecule that oxidized and gives carbon dioxide, water, and heat energy produced there. And to balance it, here we write 6, 6, 6. And here we write oxidation of food causes energy produced at cellular level in the form of heat, and therefore it is also example of exothermic reaction. Why? Because it releases heat energy and called exothermic reaction. Other type of chemical reaction is endothermic reaction or endothermic chemical reaction. And here we define it as a endothermic chemical reaction. So this type of chemical reaction which needs heat, or we have to give heat energy to complete the reaction, then it is called endothermic reaction. And here the chemical reaction which needs heat which needs heat. We have to give heat energy for such type of chemical reaction. We have to give heat energy, then only reaction begins or complete. And due to that reason, it is called endothermic reaction. Here, absorption of heat energy takes place. Reaction which needs heat are called endothermic reaction or endothermic chemical reaction. In this process, the reaction only after initiated when we give heat energy, or it needs heat energy to begins. Other rate of this reaction depends upon heat energy. Like when more heat given, then rate of this reaction becomes high. When less heat energy given, then it remains slow. After that, here several example of that endothermic reactions which are going around us, like we decompose limestone. At first, decomposition of limestone or decomposition of limestone causes that gives lime or calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. In this reaction, the reaction only initiated when we give heat energy to the reaction, and therefore this reaction is called endothermic reaction. Other is here given. Potassium chlorate decomposed into potassium chloride and oxygen. This reaction depends upon heat energy. When we give heat energy and additional other manganese dioxide catalyst, then only this reaction begins. Nitrogen only combined with, here given that nitrogen combined with hydrogen, then it gives ammonia gas. Or nitrogen, it needs high temperature, high pressure, iron molybdenum catalyst. Without heat energy, such reactions are impossible. Like a cooking food. While cooking food is chemical change, their chemical reaction occurs, and only product is obtained when we give heat energy to the food material. Like by boiling egg, protein change into peptic acid, like egg gets solidified, same like a rubber substance. That is also example of endothermic reaction. And on the basis of, and simply here we define it as a exothermic and endothermic reaction can be described like a, suppose a reactant is there. Reactants are in beaker, and another type of reactants kept in another beaker A and here B. So during chemical reaction itself, it releases heat energy. Heat energy produced there in the form of radiation, then it is called exothermic. And another type of chemical reaction is here, when the reactants absorb heat energy from surrounding. Suppose we apply heat from burner or gas, it absorbs heat, then it is called endothermic reaction. And in this way we can explain about exothermic and endothermic reaction. We can differentiate between exothermic and endothermic. Other type of chemical reactions are on the basis of direction of change. On the basis of direction of change, reactants are classified into two types. As we know that reactant change into product. And here that can be described as irreversible and reversible reaction. And we know that reactant change into product. And on the basis of direction of change, if only reactant change or reactant only change into product, then it is called irreversible. And if reactant change into product and at same time product change into reactant, then it is called reversible reaction. And here we define firstly irreversible reaction or chemical reaction. And we can define it as the chemical reaction in which reactants change into or reactants only change into product or only reactants change into product. Only reactants change into product. Then it is called irreversible reaction. In irreversible reaction, rate of reaction remains high, and due to that reason reactant change into product. And here such type of reaction are represented by single headed arrow, or it is represented by single headed arrow. And like A is reactant that change into product. Yeah. And it is called irreversible reaction. And several type of chemical reaction in our surrounding are irreversible reaction which can't be reversed. As for example, when limestone decomposed in presence of heat, then it gives calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. Again, calcium oxide and carbon dioxide do not combine to give calcium carbonate. Similarly, when metal burn in or magnesium burn in air, then it gives magnesium ash or magnesium oxide is formed. In such type of reaction, again magnesium can't be reversed or magnesium oxide can't be reversed into magnesium and oxygen. Like a carbon burn in air, then it gives carbon dioxide. Such type of reactions are unidirectional and it get completed. These are unidirectional and equilibrium does not exist between reactants and products. Like in such reaction, amount of reactants going decreasing and amount of product going increasing. There is no equilibrium at which here rate get stabilizes or reaction becomes stable or not get reversed, and only that it get complete after certain interval or certain period of time. And some chemical reaction takes place in which reactant change into product and at the same time product change into reactant, that is bidirectional in nature. And here we write reversible chemical reaction, and we define it as the chemical reaction in which reactants change into product and at the same time products change into reactants. Like suppose reactant A change into product and at same time product change into reactant, that is bidirection in nature, are called reversible reaction. And in such type of reaction here, it has low rate of reaction, and rate of that reaction is low. Due to that reason, after a certain point the product get reversed, and here we write it is represented by double-headed arrow is used to represent it. Double-headed arrow gives information about that bidirectional in nature, and equilibrium exists in such reaction. It means there exists when reactant change into product at certain time, there exists equilibrium between reactant and product. After that, reactant change in product get reversed into reactant, and it is bidirectional in nature, and equilibrium exists between reactants and products. And several examples are found related to here, like a nitrogen combined with hydrogen that change into ammonia gas at high temperature and high pressure. When pressure and temperature reduced, then ammonia decomposed into nitrogen and hydrogen. Therefore, it is called a reversible reaction. Hydrogen combined with chlorine, that gives HCl. And when HCl release or in presence of light occurs, and HCl get decomposed into hydrogen and chlorine. Such type of chemical reaction are called reversible chemical reaction. In the next video, we discuss more about the problems related to chemical reaction. Thank you.